Well, hello. Let's talk about the trouble with risk registries. And, first let's make sure everybody understands what I mean by a risk registry. At the beginning of any, not just turnaround project, any project really, you should be bringing all the stakeholders together and all of the team together to create a risk registry, right? There's really nothing we do in industry that doesn't have inherent risks, and we should catalog it. So when we build the risk registry, we invite everybody to the table. There are no stupid answers, as people like to say. We collect everything, and then we evaluate the entire risk registry, and we prioritize it based on best guess probabilities, I guess you'd say. We're using intelligent guessing from our stakeholders to put that into a probability matrix. And that is excellent. But what the trouble with risk registries I see is often that's as far as people go. And I will agree it is way better to know in advance that one of these risks is coming at you and could take you out than to have it come by complete surprise. However, you know what's even better than that? What's better than that is to leverage your risk registry by building mitigation strategies. Now, maybe you don't do, if you've categorized your risk registry in probabilities 1 through 5, maybe you don't do the 5s, and maybe you don't do the 4s. And maybe on the 3s, you build a general plan. But on your number 1 and your number 2, the most probable risks that are likely to come up, you want to build full plans, including materials. That's how I feel about it. Now, I got a couple of examples from my own past. I had to go into a 50,000 barrel a day stabilized condensate rundown tank. And you know how these atmospheric tanks are. They only come up on your schedule once every 10 years. So usually knowledge and data is a little bit lean. And of course, being a stabilized condensate tank, it's going to be a line tank, and it's got a floating roof. But what integrity can't tell me in any way is the condition of the lining. And what they can tell me is if there's been spalling or any other form of lining failure on the bottom of that tank, that they would predict that I would then end up needing to put a new bottom in the tank. But they can't tell me one way or another whether that's likely to happen. And they likewise can't evaluate the seal on the floating roof. So I brought in a seal for the floating roof, and I bought 40 sheets of steel for the bottom of the tank, just in case. And we replaced the tank bottom plans, and we replaced the floating roof seal plans. As it turned out, that job went well, and we were able to send the floating lid seal back to the supplier because they had graciously allowed it to take it on a consignment type basis. And who doesn't need 40 sheets of 3/8 inch steel? No big deal. Another one that was a little more controversial is we had a separator vessel. And when I look back through the previous history on that vessel, I could see that several times, by surprise, in the turnaround, they had ended up having to do flush patching along the line where the two different interfaces met. And so, though both those times resulted in a very, very late turnaround startup, I didn't want to have that. So I went ahead and ordered rolled plate. See, this is a bigger deal than the tank bottom because you actually got to get the plate rolled and sized, et cetera, et cetera. But we went ahead and did that. And then we went ahead and built the engineering work plan to cut flush patching in just like had been done in previous years. And that time, that turned out to be a good thing, that we did spend that money. Yes, it was a lot of controversy for months and months and months about spending the money to roll plate that you might not even need. But in the end, I did need it. And because we had it, and because the work was all done through the risk registry, this didn't even threaten the long path for this turnaround. This didn't become a factor in the facility startup in any way. If there had not have been a fully complete risk registry, 6 to 8 weeks. But in 6 to 8 weeks if it was a day. So risk registries are important. and the mitigation plans for your risk registries, at least for those risks that have the highest probability of happening and the most likelihood of completely ruining your day, build plans for them. Even if you got to spend some money, procurement's going to argue with you, probably your boss is going to argue with you. Doesn't matter. Get ready for that risk to become a reality. That's how you use your risk registry. Have a great day. Talk to you next time.